These are 7 of the best games on PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium that you should download and definitely check out. Now, before we get started, I want to sort of address something that's a bit ridiculous about the PlayStation Plus tiering system. The games just don't really make sense with where they've been allocated in terms of the tier. Take this, for example, first-party AAA titles like Spider-Man are included in PlayStation Plus Extra, which is great value. That makes complete sense. And you would then assume that the games included in PlayStation Plus Premium would be even better than this, considering it costs even more money to access that tier. But for some ridiculous reason, inside of PlayStation Plus Premium, there's some awful titles like Toy Story and also Up. Now, Toy Story 3 is a great game. I've actually talked about this game in the past in the cheapest PlayStation games list, but these games individually are like $3.99, $4.99, $6.99. They are not premium games at all, but for some reason they're in this higher tier. So all they're doing is inflating the number of games available in the catalog with a load of nonsense to make it appear to be better value than it actually is. But with that out of the way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are there any good games within the premium section? But let's get straight onto the list. First game we're going to take a look at is Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon that's available within PlayStation Plus Extra. This is quite an old school game. Obviously, Far Cry 3 was originally on the PS3, and Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon was basically like an additional storyline based off of that main game. Now, it isn't really linked to the main game. It's set in a completely different sort of time period and vibe. It's got this sort of 80s arcade vibe with a completely different art style to the map. It's got like this cool pink arcade look to it. And instead of having normal animals like tigers and sharks, got these like robot style animals that you've got to sort of tackle and take down. Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is a complete change of pace of what you're usually used to from a traditional Far Cry game. They're used to doing this Far Cry. They'll release like a traditional main game that's realistic in terms of like its time setting and believability. And then they'll do like a crazy DLC that completely plays around with the map and does something completely different. I'm pretty sure they did something similar with Far Cry 5 and also Far Cry 4. I think Blood Dragon is often a forgotten installment into the Far Cry franchise, although it is heavily 80s arcade themed. The game is actually set within 2007, and your main mission is to literally just kill the baddies and save the girl. It's like a standard superhero storyline. The map is slightly smaller in Blood Dragon, and it has a cool cyberpunk feel to the post-apocalyptic setting. And it is a relatively short single-player campaign, but it's almost like a comedy movie, like a cringy movie that you're watching. It's got cool, heavy synth 80s tunes, and overall, it's much less serious compared to like the main Far Cry 3 storyline or main Far Cry games, and it's just a little bit more chilled with some humor. It's highly regarded as one of the best Far Cry games ever made. It's got some huge reviews, very solid across the board at around 4.5 stars on the PlayStation Store with tens of thousands of reviews. Next up, we got something a little bit more serious, which is Ghost of Tsushima. This is one of the highest rated games to launch back on the PS4, but obviously they went ahead and remastered it a little bit for the PS5. So they gave it a patch and an upgrade so it works and leverages the PS5 hardware to its fullest capability, because obviously this game came out just before the PS5 launch. So then they did a little sort of mid-game upgrade that leverages like the DualSense controller features. So you got the cool, you know, adaptive triggers, stuff like that, better graphics, 4K, 60 FPS, all of the different HDR stuff that the PS5 can do is available now within Ghost of Tsushima. This is available again within a standard extra subscription, so you don't need premium, nothing like that. So you just pick this up within PlayStation Plus Extra. Ghost of Tsushima is an action adventure game that is a PlayStation exclusive. You play as a super cool samurai who's on a quest to protect the Tsushima Island during the first Mongolian invasion of Japan. The gameplay mechanics are fantastic. The combat and everything feels really slick and tight. And of course, it has a strong storyline with incredible graphics. Next, we have one of my personal favorite games of all time, which is Alien Isolation. This is available within the PlayStation Plus Extra tier. So again, you don't have to go out forking loads of money per month. This title is from the PS4. Not too sure if it ever had a PS4 Pro upgrade just to give it a little bit FPS and resolution. But regardless of all of that, this is one of the best games I've personally ever played. Alien Isolation is a survival horror game that's obviously inspired and set within the Alien universe. You play as a character called Amanda Ripley, which is Ellen Ripley's daughter from obviously the Aliens movies that we've watched on the big screen. So you play as her daughter that's trying to figure out where her mother went, like actually what happened in the truth behind the story. Obviously, you're on a ship that then gets invaded by an alien. But the cool thing that makes this game so, I'd say, still next gen, even considering it came out in like sort of 2014 or something like that, is the way the alien learns and reacts to how you play the game. So the alien will learn the different tricks and things that you do. So it's an intelligent AI. Will then change how the alien reacts to different situations and how it attacks you in the future as you gradually progress progress through the storyline. And obviously the more you die and things like that, again, it picks up more things that you're doing. Biggest weakness of this game overall, I personally think, was the save stations. Now, the save stations are basically different checkpoints across the map that you run to with a little key card, and you'll do a manual save. Now, if you never use the save station, it means all of your progress will be lost within that single play session or that phase of the mission that you were doing. I found this to be actually an inhibitor compared to enjoying the game, because when I would go around, I would be so stressed and concerned about being caught by the alien. All I'd be thinking was save station, need save station, rather than just enjoying the ambience of the world, because the world is one of the best movie games I've ever played. It really nails the atmosphere of those Aliens movies with loads of hidden Easter eggs and details, but more also the overall aesthetic and design really feels like you are in that world, especially for the first movie. Whereas when you're running around concerned about the save station, you just sort of missed most of the details within each of the levels and also some of the looting, so you would then forget to get essential things like ammo and different supplies for medkits, so you'd end up save stationing and not having enough resources to do the next phase of the missions. It's a little bit annoying. I wish it just had a standard autosave feature as an option within the settings, and then for a hardcore mode, you could enable the save stations if you wanted to. Regardless of this, however, though, I almost finished this game. I was about an hour away from actually finishing it, and then a mate spoiled it for me, so I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to play it now because I kind of know, so I moved on to a different game. But there's been countless times where I've went back and revisited this over the years. They actually recently released it, believe it or not, on the iPhone, like literally the full console port, the exact same game. You can now play it on like an M1 chip iPad, which is absolutely crazy that you can play a PS4 game on a little tiny tablet with a little processor inside of it with a Bluetooth controller. Everything about it's exactly the same. Graphically looks awesome. All the gameplay mechanics are the same. So I did recently replay it a little bit on that while traveling. I'd love to see another Alien game in this style. Most of the Alien games are absolutely terrible, but this one is an absolute gem, and I would love to see like a follow-up, a sequel or whatever, or just another one in a similar style with a completely different storyline, because it was so enjoyable. Next up, we've got quite a controversial game at the moment, which is GTA 5. Obviously, we've just seen the announcement of GTA 6, which will be releasing next year in 2025, but GTA 5 is now only available on PlayStation Plus Extra, and it's no longer available on Xbox Game Pass. I recently made a video around Christmas time where I talked about some of the best games on Xbox Game Pass. I said, oh, GTA 5 is on Xbox Game Pass. Download that, play that while you wait for GTA 6. They also had the next generation version, like obviously the Xbox Series X version with all the new graphics and stuff like that. And then literally 4 days later of me uploading that video, it got removed from Xbox Game Pass without any reason why, no explanation why. And then I went and looked to make the list for this video and realized it's now on PlayStation Extra, PlayStation Plus, and no longer on Xbox Game Pass. So clearly something's gone on there with some form of an exclusivity deal, because obviously like I think GTA 6 is sort of a PS5 exclusive. It's available on both platforms, but all of the trailers are branded PlayStation, available on PlayStation, that type of thing. You know, they've sort of got clearly a deal there for that to be the prioritized platform for different DLCs, different features to launch on there first. So this has clearly influenced the reason why GTA 5 is no longer on Xbox Game Pass. Now you can get GTA 5 on PlayStation Plus Extra, both the standard version and also the next gen upgraded version. So you can play this on the PS5 with the better graphics, the better performance, and it fully leverages the power of your PS5 console. I bought this actually back when it came out about a year or so ago as a completely new game. I picked it up in a sale, and it was definitely worth the slight upgrade to leverage the power of the PS5 to experience just that sort of 4K 60 FPS and stuff like that with the high fidelity graphics. The fact that this is now basically free inside of your PS Plus subscription is pretty cool and definitely worth a download and completing a few heists with some friends. Now next up, we've got probably one of my favorite franchises that is exclusive to Sony and the PlayStation, and it's not Spider-Man, man. Sony's got Spider-Man. It's not Spider-Man, and it isn't something like, ooh, we got Ratchet and Clank, man. It's Oddworld. Oddworld is a truly underrated gaming franchise in modern times. Back in the day, this was one of the predominant main titles for the PS1, PS2, all that type of stuff. And then bigger, more fancier games started to come out sort of for the PS3, and it sort of fell off a little bit because it is a platformer game. But Oddworld is still a very good game franchise and also really funny. Just the approach to some of the comedy inside of the missions is pretty chill. Now, Oddworld is a little bit of a nostalgia game for me because my brother and I used to play Oddworld New and Tasty all of the time on the PS4. So I would go over to his house and we would play at the weekend, Oddworld and a few other different games, and we would switch turns. So Oddworld is a single player game, but because it was pretty chill, we would just pass the controller between each other and have a go at trying to complete the puzzle or whatever. And then if we got stuck, the other brother would have a go, and then I would have a go. It was just a really fun, like, social game. Even though it was single player, you could just pass the controller around a group of you and just have a really chill conversation, have a bit of fun on like like a Sunday before going back to school in that instance when I was that age. Now, Oddworld New and Tasty is actually available also on PS Plus Extra if you wanted to play the one from the PlayStation 4, which is my favorite one. But if you want the latest addition to the franchise, Oddworld Soulstorm is available on the PS5 inside of PlayStation Plus Extras. This is the latest version. For the PS5, it has the beautiful DualSense adaptive trigger features, which just makes it really fun, especially because of the type of game it is with a platformer. I think you really get to almost feel the benefit of those triggers because you're playing a little bit of a slower paced game, whereas you're playing like FPS shooters, you sometimes don't appreciate how cool those trigger features actually are because you're so focused on the fast-paced action. But it's definitely worth a download, and I can guarantee there's a lot of PlayStation players that haven't even taken a look at this game. Now, next up, we've got a title that I think is a little bit overrated, but it's definitely worth mentioning because of how popular it was around 12 to 18 months ago. Riders Republic was one of the most hyped games I've ever seen on YouTube. For some reason, everybody was playing this bike stunt game for like no reason at all. Like, it just came out of nowhere and everyone was like, oh, Rider Republic is so sick. You can do all these tricks, do all this stuff. It was just one of those freak games where there was clearly nothing to play on the Xbox Series X and also the PS5. But this, for some reason, managed to like top the charts. Riders Republic is basically this free world sports game where you can do snowboarding, sort of skiing, and also ride around on mountain bikes. And you do different tricks and accumulate different points within like a skill tree and joining all the different tricks together. I actually bought this around a year or so ago when it was super duper hype, not because of that reason, but actually just to check it out and get some B-roll and footage for some content. I personally, I didn't really vibe with it that much. Maybe if you had a group of friends, because it is a huge multiplayer game as well. You can have loads of other people scooting around on there. Maybe if you had a group of friends and you were popping some tricks together and you learned how to do the tricks properly, it could be quite addictive. I could see how it could be addictive and satisfying when you do a huge skill chain of combos together. But for me, I just didn't really have the patience to learn it. I used to love Skate 3, and this was, I guess, kind of a similar vibe to Skate 3 in terms of all of the different tricks and it being an open world game. So I should have really enjoyed it, but I don't think it really connected with me how I thought it could. Now, this game is only available within PlayStation Plus Premium, so it's actually the first game that's worth more than $40 that I've seen inside of PlayStation Premium. So you will need the top tier in order to access this. Finally, on this list, one of my favorite remasters of all time is the Uncharted Collection. This was originally released on the PS4. You can pick this up inside of PlayStation Plus Extra. And this has both Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 completely remastered with much better graphics and performance, so you can experience them. Now, even though it is a PS4 game, these are all old PS, like sort of 3 games that have been massively improved. So the fact that they run at like 1080p, 60 FPS, I still think is perfectly fine. Again, this was a game I used to play all of the time with my brother. We played through Uncharted 1 literally in one full sitting, and then the following weekend we did Uncharted 2. We never got onto Uncharted 3 though, which is always the game I've wanted to complete the most out of all the Uncharted stories. I've then played Uncharted 4 and stuff like that, but I've still yet to complete Uncharted 3, which is one of the most interesting ones for me personally from all the trailers that I used to see as a kid. I used to think that game looks really cool with the aeroplane scene, with all the stuff falling out the back of the airplane into the desert. So I made myself actually go back and revisit this and finally complete Uncharted 3, and then I've done the entire series. Now, obviously, these are some of the best games you can get for free with inside of your PlayStation Plus monthly subscription. But if you want to see some of the best new games that are just about to launch on the PS5 that you do not want to miss, you should check out this video next for some of the biggest game releases coming this year.